Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Breakthrough Blueprint, where we talk to entrepreneurs about their success, the struggles that they've overcome, and everything else along the way. Today, I have my amazing childhood friend, Danny Pessy, and I will hand it over to him to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name's Daniel Pessy, and I tried to be a comedian, and it didn't work out. I tried hard, and I didn't have what it takes. So now I travel to people's Zoom meetings and call their phones to see if they put them on silent. That's what I like to do.
I put this on Do Not Disturb, but thank you so much for that intro, Danny. Can you tell us about how you got into sales?
So I got into it right out of college. So I was at Pasadena City College and I was studying theater and doing stand up comedy. And then during that time, I was like, dude, this isn't going to pay the bills. It was like a huge news flash. And my buddies at the time started a sales job, and they're like, look, dude, it's a 3 month program, 4 month program. Come out and work with us for 4 months, make a ton of money, and then go back and have 8 months off. And I was like, 8 months off, sold. So that's initially what got me into sales is I could make a good amount of money in a short amount of time,
Hmm.
and I did it, and I was really good at it. And yeah, and then the rest is freaking history. I kept doing it and never stopped.
Love that. That's amazing. You were in door to door for a long time, and then how did you start your coaching program?
Yeah, so basically, it was around 2020 and solar was taking off, and I was transitioning into it, running a dealer and then a dealer program. And one of my good buddies, actually, you know what? It was me that kind of came up with an idea, and I'm like, damn, that'd be really cool to like run a program and get people into it because I've been in coaching programs for years, and I was like, dude, I could probably do this for solar specific because no one's any good at solar,
Mhm.
and so it's like, and no one in the industry is like, there's no solar trainers out there, and so at this time. And then basically, I hit up my boy McCarthy, and I'm like, "Yo, let's run this Knockstar thing up." And we basically built out a program that was a 6 week program, and we sold out every single program we sold. And we're like, okay, this is legit. And so we ended up doing 4 seasons and sold out every single one of them. And that's kind of what spewed it is like a let's try something out and let's test the marketplace. We had a short term commitment coaching program that just took off. And, me and McCarthy are probably the best door to door trainers in the game. So guys were getting extreme value from our training and
Uh,
getting a lot of really good results. And like they multiplied the money they made with us. I mean, it just took off. It's like in a game full of so many people who are not really as good as they say you are. Like it was cool to go in there and, dominate, being legitimate rather than most of these people you see in the game who are not.
Definitely. I mean, you were the person who inspired me to get into sales, starting with solar, and now it's
Hmm.
kind of has come from there. And I talk to a lot of people, just like my friends and stuff, who have been laid off from like the tech industry or from other industries, and they're trying to figure out what to do next that's not going to be replaced by AI. And I
Yeah.
always tell them to get into sales, even if they're introverted, whatever it is. Like I always try to tell them, like, just get into sales. What would be your advice for people? Like, how should they get started now?
Yeah, I mean, it's number one, it's you're gonna start proactively or start reactively. And it's like what you said is if AI could take your job, it's gonna happen. So it's only not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So really looking down and deciding, hey, I know this wasn't your life path, and coming to terms like, hey, you need to pivot. Like being able to mentally pivot from what your life dream was to surviving and thriving, you learn to enjoy sales and make it your life gift. Like I thought stand up comedy was going to be my calling in life and going to Saturday Night Live and doing that. And then, I pivoted into solar and door to door. And although I can't get on stage and on TV and make a bunch of people laugh, I get to make my customers laugh and I get to have good relationships. And later it turned into conferences with thousands of people at them and making them laugh and being a funny trainer. Like those are all things that you create while going down sales because sales is a great tool to help you get to where you want to go. And so as long as you get into it, realizing number one, you're not going to like it. Number two, you're never going to like it. And number three, you're going to use it to get to where you want to go. You start developing a love for it and it ends up being easier for you. So that's what I'd say. It's like, dude, you're not going to like it. You're not born. You're not a natural. I was neither of all of those. I was the laziest guy around, and it just really developed me into really good person. It makes you into a really solid person. As long as you have good ethics and you keep your morals in and you know
Mhm.
you're not being a scumbag, those guys aren't salesmen, those are con men. So when people say sales are scummy, they're not talking about sales. Sales is the most honorable profession in the world. Sales is the only position in the world that if it stopped, the whole world would stop.
Mhm.
So thing is, sales isn't scummy, it isn't unethical. It's con men are that. And
Mhm.
they use sales as a tool to rip people off, but those aren't salesmen. And that's
Yeah.
not the industry. That's conning. That's a different industry. That's scammers.
Yeah, that reminds me of I was just talking to someone today who's transitioning to sales, and he's like, "I'm surprised at how many people have a bad perception of sales reps." And I'm just like, "Well, it happens to be like pretty much the most important function of any business because without sales, there's no money."
Correct.
But
Yeah.
and then going off of what I mentioned earlier, have you seen people who are more shy and introverted be successful in sales?
Yeah, 100%. So Tom Hopkins is a mentor of mine that I got a chance to meet late recently. And
Mhm.
he said that the best salesmen are an interested introvert. And it's better to be an interested introvert than an
Mhm.
interesting extrovert. So what does that mean? Let's unpack that. So you as an introvert can be taught to be extroverted. An extrovert cannot be taught to be introverted.
Mhm.
So introverts are actually the best salesmen there are because interesting extroverts are more interested in what they have to say. And in sales, the people that talk the most end up with the product. So if a salesman goes in there and talks his mouth off, he ends up with the product walking out the door because he didn't make a sale.
Mhm.
So the introvert is less likely to overtalk in a sales process and use questions and let the customer talk because that's what makes them more comfortable.
Mhm.
So therefore, a trained and polished introvert will be way more successful than the blabbermouth extrovert.
Definitely. And going back to what you said about training, and you've done tons of coaching and events, and I've been to some of your events and they've been amazing. How do you get people to see it as competition or a sport or be motivated? Because I know you run competitions within your own like masterminds or coaching programs.
Yeah. So there's 4 levels to motivation. And when you're teaching people, you want to try to apply all of those 4 levels. And if you've been in my programs before, you know what they are. And for the sake of time, the lowest form is money. And money is the lowest form because if you need $1,000,000, let's say you got to pay your car off or they're taking it and it's $10,000. I give you $10,000, the motivation's gone, right? That's why it's not really money is the lowest form. And that's why people never get successful in life because all they're shooting for is money. Above that is the how do you say it? It's like gain. So it's personal gain, like winning a trophy, winning a competition, like that type of thing. That's why you got guys like Michael Jordan who made so much money but didn't care about the money because he wanted to go win the championships. So those type of guys, you have to know your audience and know what really motivates them and push them to higher levels. Then after that, it's like Michael Jordan didn't win an NBA championship because he like wanted the trophy. He won it because that's what he does. He's a winner. And so that's when he started getting the three-peats and going over and over again because that's what he does. He wins. And then at the highest level, it's like that's Michael Jordan's duty to win championships. Like that's his duty is to be the best basketball player of all time. That's what he does. He is the best. So when he steps on the court, he's the best player. That's his job. That's his duty. He's in his mind. That's what he is. So
Mhm.
another example of duty is the husband is walking his child. The child jumps in front of runs into the street and the car's coming. What does that father do? He jumps and does whatever he can to save his child's life, even foregoing his own life. And so those forms of duty as an individual being on this planet, if tapped into, people see extraordinary things. And the
Mhm.
problem is a lot of people in sales jobs don't have good leaders. And so those leaders don't know how to tap people into their highest potential because realistically, most leaders in sales organizations were guys who sold a lot and they got put in a leadership position. And they think because what they did works, it should work for other people, when in fact it doesn't, and they never end up scaling and they end up just having turnover over and over again because people come in and leave because they've never really learned how to be a leader and a manager.
Definitely. Yeah, that was something I wanted to ask you about. Is you said that you were lazy before, but I've seen like, your growth over the years. How did you get into leadership?
Well, I got in leadership because I was the top sales rep
Mm,
and people followed me because I sold a lot, but then they came quick and they left quick, right? So guys would come to me and they would leave because I didn't know how to lead. It's like the flashy object single. simple. They'll come in and leave. And so I learned how to be a leader through necessity because I kept getting my ass kicked over and over and over again. And it was year after year, all of my reps quit. So I eventually paid somebody to teach me how to fix that.
Mhm.
I paid a lot of money because I was losing more money by not having a team than I was paying on coaching. So I went to a guru, a trainer who was legit running teams and said, "Hey, dude, I can't keep doing this anymore. I get a ton of people in and they leave every single year. I'm getting burnt out. I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel good. Like, what do I do?" And so then I started applying and getting better. And then I eventually started doing what he told me to do. And it
Mhm.
worked. And then it scaled. And then the less guys quit, made more money, and then my life got easier. And so that's realistically what it is. If you are already a good leader and your people would be sticking and they wouldn't be quitting on you. And so
Yeah.
the thing is you aren't, if you're not currently, you go buy the skills to teach you that type of stuff. And that's the
Mhm.
scary part is everyone thinks everything's a scam. So you don't know who to trust and who to buy from. So people end up just not spending any money and they say, screw it. Ah, this guy's an internet guy. This guy's this guy's that. And it's like, for me, I went to Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, Brian Tracy, I went to all the seminars, and then I finally found a group that resonated with me and that I liked, and I tried a bunch of stuff out, and then I found out what worked and what didn't, and what I didn't like. And so for me, it was just something where I trial and error finding different mentor groups to help me. And so every group I was a part of, I grabbed something good and elevated myself.
Mhm.
So that's basically, yeah. Now I bet toe for toe out of training, I'm probably out of all the trainers, I think I train probably more than anybody. Like I train even till today, like this week I'm going into a full training. Like I train so much.
Mhm.
And it's because I believe in it. And it's like, dude, you remember me in high school? Now it's like, dude, I'm a completely different person most of the time.
I love that. See your evolution from elementary school, high school to now. It's been amazing to see you build that personal brand, make the content, do the training courses, the in-person events. And so now you also get hired to train specific companies, right? You'll go out to them and
Yeah. Yeah, so I go into a company and then I basically find out what they need help with, and then I just show them the proper systems to fix it. So I'll
Mhm.
go into a workshop, fix it. If their sales reps need sales, I tell them how to get more deals and they get a good ROI. And then, I've just been traveling around doing that. It's been fun. A lot of fun.
And that's not just door to door, right? That's any sales organization.
Yeah, yeah. Any sale. I mean, sales is so like door to
Mhm.
door is like the Spartans. And
Mhm.
like, let's say you're going into battle, like the Spartans are the best warriors in human history. And so it's like, if a Spartan did it, it could be used in any different avenue. Like I've gone into any stuff I've never even sold before and apply the principles of door to door sales. The guys
Yeah,
crush. Call centers, virtual sales, like, dude, if it works door to door, it kills it doing anything else.
definitely.
So yeah, if you're trying to get someone to buy something, like there's a formula you have to do. Like
Mhm.
there's someone you don't know and you got to get money out of them and provide them with a really good service. How do you do
Mhm.
that? Like that's something that I've spent my whole life really exploring and doing it in a healthy way. Like my customers, like I've had great experiences with them.
Mhm.
And so that's like a part that people don't realize is by doing sales, you're providing a good service and people actually really enjoy and like you for it.
Definitely. And one of the things I loved about your sales training is that you really do emphasize humor to lower people's guards, disarm them, build that rapport, make them laugh and warm them up. Like that's something different that I feel like other people don't emphasize as much, but it's just having those lines and those jokes ready is just such a great way to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how to use it strategically
Mhm.
so you don't shoot yourself in the foot. But in a high rejection environment, humor is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And like the best example, like the best to ever do it is Kenny Brooks,
Mm.
the cleaner guy. Like
Yeah.
I literally knocked doors with him like a year or two ago. And I didn't believe humor was that good. I knew I used my little jokes here and there, but this guy, every door could disarm every single person and it
Yeah.
works so well, so good. And
Mhm.
so it's like, you just got to know how to use it. Like that's a weapon. You're right. People don't know. And they're like, well, I'm not funny. It's like, no, you don't have to be funny. You use it as a strategy to lower people's guards because you humanize yourself. You separate yourself from the nonsense of the world and you're like, hey, break through, make them laugh. Oh, dude, all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great
Yeah, I've
point.
seen his videos. He's great. I mean, I'm sure he's just been practicing for decades now.
Yeah. So polished, so polished, so good.
Yeah, and I know for you, like, you've expanded so much in different things and you've really, used sales as a vehicle for investment, real estate. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of my career, I got it and I spent it, right, very quickly, and then I started making a little more money and started investing it. And, I had a really hard time confronting finances because in sales, like the culture is they want to keep you broke as possible to keep you back selling. Because the worst salesman's a fat, happy salesman with a bunch of money in his account. So I was like in these toxic environments where they would get you to spend as much as you can. Like material items are the biggest trap to keep you broke. So detaching yourself from those things are a hard thing that I had to work through with a lot of training. And so eventually I started doing, throwing some money into real estate. And that's been probably my best investment I've ever made. I went in with a partnership. I got a guy that I like give money to and we go in and find deals. And that's where I've basically made about $1 million on the side, like crushing it in real estate. It's been unbelievable. And so everyone talks about real estate. It's just you got to like to do it yourself is tough. Find a guy or two that's solid and go in with them to get your feet wet. It's like
Yeah.
knocking doors. Like you don't know the product, you're going to go into a random neighborhood and like sell a product that you kind of know about. Like you don't know who your customers are, how to sell it. Go in with a partner on your first couple deals and then like get your feet wet. Then you can go do it on your own. So that's what
Yeah.
I did. And I made great money. You find someone you can trust and then you just keep doing business with them.
Is this for residential real estate you've been doing or?
Yeah, residential. I bought one commercial property and I bought it for 350. It's worth 600 now. So, and it's probably only going to go up once the interest rates drop. So, I keep that in my portfolio and I can sell that when I retire and be set for life. So, a couple good real estate deals set you for life. And then, a couple bad deals can really kick you in the nuts, but you got to keep going. Me and you have definitely made some bad deals in the past.
You live and you learn. We have definitely
Yeah.
been through the ringer, but thank God, we just keep pushing and it's all about really who you meet. Sometimes those connections, like they seem good at the beginning and they don't pan out. And other times you meet so one person and one deal with them changes your life. So I'm very grateful that like I didn't go bankrupt or anything, but there
Yeah.
were some rough years there and definitely want to emphasize like you got to learn those lessons and sometimes they're expensive lessons, but now I know because I've made those mistakes I will never do anything like that ever again.
Yeah, I know. Sucks, man. But the thing is, money it comes and goes, dude. But the thing you got to remember is take those lessons. Like figure out
Definitely.
what happened, and if it went well, figure out what made it go well, and then reinforce those good positive attributes on your
Mhm.
next round. I just like I've tried a bunch of stuff, and so I'm really like doubling down on real estate right now, and we're looking for another deal as we speak, just to keep that down. You find out what works and keep reinforcing it.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the top solar guys I've met over the years have been transitioning to like wholesaling real estate or, flipping, fix and flips and stuff like that. Like what's your opinion of I guess what's going on in solar?
I mean, the struggle you face now in solar is going to be the same and proportionate to any industry that you do. Everything is harder right now. So people leaving solar, they think it's the same shit everywhere. Like people don't understand. Let me turn the light. This thing's bugging me.
Mhm.
Like solar isn't the problem. It's
Yeah.
it's the economy is
Yeah.
brutal. Everything's crushed right now.
Yeah.
Mortgage agents, real everything is hard. So
Mhm.
going into a different industry is not going to solve your problem. It's the same stuff. It's just now you're reinforcing the habit of when things get hard, you start looking for the grass is greener. And when you start doing that, that's when your attitude comes into play. When challenging things come up, subconsciously you're looking for the grass is greener. So you're reinforcing a quitter mentality by jumping into something else rather than doubling down and figuring out a way to make it make sense. Like if your personal sales are down, go recruit a team.
Mhm.
Overrides are still paying the same. So go figure it out. Guys are selling less, get more guys. Recruit
Mhm.
more people.
Mhm.
That's the
Definitely.
solution. There's nothing out there that's going to be the saving grace. The thing that I'm finding out about solar, we lived in a fairy tale. For a couple years, guys with no skill set were making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You will never see that again. The government printed a bunch of money,
Mhm.
made loans cheap. Money to borrow money was cheap. They were pushing a bunch of cash into the market, and then basically it was a formula for a bunch of success.
Yeah.
So guys will never see that again. You're not going to be making the solar money ever again. It's not. It wasn't real. It
Right.
was a fairy tale. Especially for these guys who didn't have any skill set. Like what? You think you're good? You don't even go to a seminar. You've never read a book. You've never spent any time training. You think you're going to make that kind of money again? Yeah,
Yeah,
right. The
especially
marketplace. Yeah, the money you make now is a direct proportion to the value you add to the marketplace. The marketplace back then was a fairy tale. You
Yeah.
got lucky. If you capitalized on it, great. If you
Mhm.
didn't, you're never going to see it again. So you got to get really good to get caught back up there.
Definitely. And I feel like a lot of the people also who were making money during that time when I started, it was like there were some people doing unethical things. They were permit poaching, they were paying off people, and like it was just kind of crazy hearing about it. But it was also what made me realize, like when I got into sales, just feeling like people will just stab you in the back or throw you under the bus sometimes for some money. And that made me also learn a lot of lessons. So it was great for me in that I learned all of those lessons. The money comes quick in sales, especially back then. You're making a ton of money and you can invest it, you could spend it, blow it. A lot of those new young guys were just buying, Porsches and like stuff like that. But you just really learn a lot just from seeing that environment of the quick money and the lifestyle that people want to portray.
Yeah. The thing is like, how do I articulate this? It's not their fault for scamming you. It's your fault for not noticing that and preventing it. And so you either learn that as a lesson or it's going to keep happening over and over and over again. So it's like that's the thing is taking accountability for it, learning it, and be like, okay, cool, I saw this. I got to be prepared for that next time. Because the people that work hard, there's always someone that's going to try to take advantage of them. And so you got to be really smart with your decisions. You got to think things through and you have to know the person that you're working with. And, that's why it's so important not to just trust words. You trust, but verify. And that's
Exactly.
important. And then the golden phrase I learned after a lot of lessons is if it's not written down, then it isn't true. So if you don't have certain things in writing, then nothing's true. Like I was in a lawsuit recently, I won because we had text messages hinting to a real estate deal. So
Hmm.
it's like just that alone is important. And that was one of my biggest lessons that I learned is if it's not written down, it's not true. So really focus on writing everything down, get very clear and get approval because even text messages count
Hmm.
as like legal binding documents. A
Definitely.
judge will not look at your text like, nope, you said this, nope, that there's no contract. Sorry, it doesn't count. It's like, no, you said in the agreement, this is what it was, and that's it.
Exactly. Yeah, completely. And just to switch gears, what has been some of the greatest opportunities that have come from you building your brand and building this career and standing out in the industry?
I think a lot of the guys that took what I was doing and has run with it, like
Mhm.
Melissa Ramiza, she took
Mhm.
my playbook and basically has been running a really good team. And she's basically now a big figurehead in the solar industry. So just seeing some of our students become the teachers, that's been
Yeah,
really, really cool to me. And I've really enjoyed seeing that because my info was passed to me and then I passed my info on. And it's nice to see people like doing that on seeing the success of the others rather than just yourself.
yeah, I mean, I know so many people that were in Knockstar and in trainings have gone and, like, built or these huge organizations. Melissa is, like, the last person I actually worked with when I was doing solar, and she's killing it. She's making a killing. She's, like, just such also just a good, an amazing, genuine person.
Yeah, solid. And it's like, you this is a community. After high school, you lose your friend group like this. I've really worked hard on trying to make this a good friend group for our community here cuz that's the sad part is salesmen can be so lonely, can be so depressed. It's like you want a healthy place where we can all get together and have like a community. And I do that at events. I have my Facebook groups, like all of these things. I want people to feel loved and a part of something bigger than just, a job to make commission on it. And I find that people that don't buy into that are the ones that do scam, trick, deceive people. Because if we're all part of a community, we're all friends, we're not going to fucking rip each other off and steal. It's like, it's the guys that don't do that stuff are the con men, the scary ones, the guys that don't go to the events, the guys that are like, oh, I'll pay you all of this, that don't participate in my programs. Those are the guys that are like, wait a second, because con men don't like the light on them. When,
Mhm.
when lights turn on, cockroaches scram. And so it's really funny. I remember pitching and presenting my program to some people and companies, and they never purchased. And then all of a sudden, I find out they were doing convent stuff, scamming people, and all these different signs and indications of people that behave that way. It's like, oh, okay. Because part of mine is, hey, I put yourself out there. I make you really put yourself out there. And if you're doing unethical stuff and you don't want to go out there, that tells me everything I need to know about you. Either you're broke or you don't, or you're doing something sneaky.
Exactly, because word spreads real quick in this community. But, I guess, sales I guess door-to-door solar sales has had more women in it, but do you think men or women are naturally inherently better at sales?
Women for sure. Women are the best. And I've said this time and time again, like a woman who knows how to turn on and off the emotional stability trigger. Cause in
Mhm.
sales, like women, what ends up happening is they're not prepared to go and get that much rejection. It's not
Mm,
human to get rejected that much. So I found because women feel more, they're smarter, they're more intellectual than men. And so they feel these things, they hear the stuff and it resonates with them more because they're smarter than us and they think that what they're doing is wrong. And so they need to be trained to understand that rejection coming in is false. It's not
yeah.
real. And you have to create something that's false and not real to handle that. And then when you do get the deal, then you can open up and be yourself. But you have to have a defense mechanism to be able to handle that rejection. Otherwise, you internalize it and you think it's legitimate when it's not. It's a
Mm,
reaction to being solicited. People aren't rejecting you, they're rejecting the concept of being sold something. So you need to go know how to get that. It's not a reflection of you, this job isn't cut out for you. Oh, I'm not a good salesman. No, that's incorrect. You just have false data. And so it's the thing is realizing that's what it is. Women, they know how to do it and they know how to do it effectively. Oh my God, I'd buy from women all day. They're
yeah.
smarter, they're more intellectual, they feel more like they're able to have good conversations. And it's like, dude, I wish more women got into it. But the problem is this whole girl boss movement, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it throws off the polarity of masculine and feminine. And if you're always a female and you're masculine, you're not going to have that, and it's going to be really hard to have a relationship if you're sitting in the masculine all the time. That's why the switch is so important. You got to know when to turn it on and turn it off, or otherwise you're going to have a bunch of relationships that are ruined because your job is conducive to masculine energy and you haven't been
Mm,
properly trained how to step out of that role and
exactly.
into the spouse role.
Mhm. Completely
Yeah.
agree. It's something that you need to work on as a woman when you're, like, having to be hard charging and assertive during the day and just, like, take a step back, turn your mind off, and, like, let a guy handle things. I'd love to do that, but going back to, like, the emotional regulation and reactions, like, what are some of the most important or helpful things that you do for mindset? Because it's such an important part of sales.
Yeah, the key is you don't want to let your highs get too high and your lows get too low. It's like being even kill the entire time. When you get a sale, don't celebrate too much.
Mhm.
When you get a cancel, don't get upset too much. Some will, some won't, so what?
Mhm.
Right? Hey, it happens. It happens. It happens. Whatever, part of the game. Don't get too fixated on it. Remember, your duty on this planet is to achieve as much possible success for as many possible dynamics as there is. So, whether that's yourself, your family, your community, all of that. So, some days you're going to win, some days you're going to lose, but you can't go on this roller coaster of
Mhm.
emotions because if you celebrate too much when you get a deal, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. What happens when you cancel? You get a cancel. Same thing. Don't let it
Yeah.
bug you. Part of the game. Don't chase, replace. Go get new deals. Go get new money. Have a big pipeline so big, have so many customers you're working on that if one or two cancel, you're thankful because you can finally catch up to other shit.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. I
that's
love
it. Yeah, that was a
that's
lot.
so many drops that you so many bombs that you just dropped here. But,
Mhm.
I guess to wrap things up, what's next for you? What are you working on?
That's a good one. I'm really learning how to teach people how to manage
Mm,
something I was not good at. I was a great leader and a great salesman. I was a terrible manager. The next chapter of what I'm doing is teaching companies how to manage their people better so that they can scale. I found the biggest pothole for companies is they don't manage their sales reps properly. They lead them great. They don't manage it. And so teaching companies how to manage their people well while
mhm,
using technology to do it is going to help you scale your business. And that's the next big chapter for me is teaching people how to manage and just going through all of these sales companies and improving their systems so that they can grow and scale. Because, whatever industry I touch, they do something good. And if they're not a good industry, I'm not going to participate in it. So, that's my gift is how do I get companies to scale as I teach them these different things that they didn't know. Because a lot of times business owners are guys that just were really great sales reps that went and jumped in and became a company owner. Like
mhm.
they never learned those skill sets. So with me, you come in, you pay me, I'll teach you all those things and save you all those years as long as you listen, apply, and you're disciplined. So that's where I made a business out of it.
Love that. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Danny. I am so excited and glad that you were able to carve out the time here. For everyone else watching, thank you for joining us and tune in for the next episode.
Peace.